We have entrepreneur Tiffany Chu. She's the founder of Tryve. And she's here in Singapore just for a bit. She flies off back to Amsterdam. And I know this because we're actually really good friends. And maybe we'll share how we actually met. It's quite a funny story.
Oh, really?
Later, Tim. Okay, but first we got to talk about Screen-Free Saturday.
That's right. Actually, this whole experience was inspired by the offline club that I went to in Amsterdam. So this is an experience where people just give up their phones for a day, for half a day, for even like a weekend. And as a Singaporean, I'm like addicted to my phone, and I don't realize this until I was there. And I gave up my phone, and I was like, I want to take pictures of everything, and like you use your phone to do that, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how stuck I was to my phone until that moment. And then the whole experience is very intentional. You can journal, you can read, you can knit, you can sew, you can paint. Honestly, anything you want to do. The whole idea is that you are intentional and present with your time, which I think we don't get the luxury of in a way. At least we tell ourselves we don't have that time.
Yeah, and I was actually going through the Eventbrite, the details and everything, and what I loved about it is that they say socializing is not encouraged.
What? You cannot.
No, socializing is okay. So let me clarify that. So there's like 2 to 3 segments. So the first segment is just really for yourself. Is that time for yourself? You're intentional and do things like introspection, being very mindful. So that's where socializing is not encouraged.
Right, because you want to have those boundaries to make sure that you have that space to reflect. Otherwise, it's going to feel like you're just at anyone's gathering.
Yeah, or like a networking thing, which is not the intent. The intent is to be intentional with your time. And the second segment is where you can get food and drinks, and that's where you're free to talk to anybody that you want. So it's not like you're banned from like talking to anybody.
No. I didn't say it's a bad thing. I meant it as like, oh my gosh, this is an introvert's haven.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, the impression that comes to mind is abstinence, right? You're going to stay away from the phone. You're just going to cut things out. But you're saying, no, it's not just cutting out. You're actually going to include activities, like physical activities that you've always been wanting to do, whether it's reading or journaling.
Yeah, I think like oftentimes we make excuses for ourselves. They're like, oh, I'm too busy to do this. Or you start a book, but you never finish it. Like when was the last time you guys like finished a book?
All the time.
Or like even journaling, right? Like writing a diary. Or even like knitting. I know people who like to crochet, but then they kind of like just start in like the first 10 minutes and then they give up.
Yeah. I always tell myself I need to read. And then sometimes I have to like take a vacation just to read because even though I have the space and I actually do have the time, my mind is quick to maybe I'll check social media. Maybe I could check my Tinder. Have I received any matches? Maybe there's always another thing screaming for your attention. Screen-Free Saturday where we gather and put our phones away. Can you imagine? We've reached that point of our lives right now in society.
That we need to be told to like put your phone away and actually do it.
I'm sure that many of us have been actually secretly craving that. Just a break, right? And especially when it's a weekend and there's still so much to do and people will want to hit you up. Can you imagine just putting your phone away, even face down? Is scary, right?
Yeah, it feels like something's missing. And I think what we don't realize is that we lose so much of our precious time to doom scrolling. And I'm also a victim of that. Like I'll just check social media for a bit and then I scroll and I realize like 2 hours has passed.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to avoid.
To really take that time, seize the weekend, right?
Yeah, and be intentional of your time, be aware of your time. Like you're alive and like the whole point is to really embrace this life that you have. Like, do you really want to waste it on doom scrolling all the time? And oftentimes it's a very mindless scrolling. And then you don't realize it until like 2 hours later.
Yeah. Mindless scrolling is one thing, but then sometimes it can be damaging, right? Depending on the accounts that you follow. Sometimes you scroll and then your self-esteem gets a hit.
Yeah.
Or you start thinking like, when am I getting married? Or when am I going to afford that house, right? Because that's the dangerous part about social media sometimes is that when you're not prepared for it, it can affect your self-esteem.
Yeah, and I think that's something, after moving to Amsterdam, opening my Instagram where it's very focused on my Singaporean friends, right? So a lot of them are either getting married, proposing, getting engaged, or having a baby. And it's always rotating around these 3-4 topics. And I was like, whoa, I didn't notice it in Singapore. But after I moved, I was like, damn, like that's really like a revolving topic on Instagram.
That's the other thing that I hear about like people that move abroad, for example, and the pace of life is different, right? So they can just maybe go about a whole week on some vegetable farm and I don't know what they're doing.
I think there's space,
right? They're just doing their thing. And then they see a Singaporean friend's life and they're like, so much is happening, so many things happening all the time. So they also sometimes get a bit anxious, like, where am I in my life? But could you help me paint the picture for what's happening tomorrow morning, right? So this is an event called Screen-Free Saturday that you're doing.
That's right.
Tickets are on sale at Eventbrite. So I buy a ticket, I go there, and then do you confiscate my phone?
Yeah, basically. So we have something called a phone hotel. So basically, that's where your phone will be staying for the morning when you are away from it. So it's taken care of, locked away safely. And it's going to be held at North Singapore. So it's usually a bar at night, but they're opening in the day for this event as well, which is really nice because the space is really cozy. Find your own spot when you come in after you've given your phone. You can order a drink or maybe a waffle. Or I think they're selling quesadillas as well. So it's like just grab F&B and then just find your spot. You can choose. It's free for all. Choose your spot, sit down, and you can start reading your book. So I will be giving an introduction about what the event is about and instructions about what they can expect. And then the whole idea is that soft music will be playing. Just imagine this scenario. Soft music playing. You find your cozy corner. You're reading your book. And then after an hour or so, you hear a ding. So when the thing happens, that's when, okay, it's time to have a break. And then you can socialize with other people, grab another drink, food, meet other people, meet new friends. And then after like 30 minutes or so, you're back to your introspection time.
Wow. I like that there's a structure to it because I was going to ask you, what if I tap out? Like, oh my God, I need to check my phone.
No. So the whole idea is that it's locked away. You won't even see your phone.
More with Tiffany Chu in just a bit, the founder of Tryve, on her screen-free Saturday happening tomorrow where your phones are taken away and you just finally just have time to yourself to breathe and do whatever you want. Just read a book or whatever, right? Or journal, write, do the things that you've been stashing away saying, I'll do it later. What do you anticipate will be the benefits of doing this?
I think most of the time, being on our phone kind of feels like a shackle almost.
Yeah.
Like you don't realize that you're stuck on it all the time. So I think it can feel very liberating. At least that was my experience when I went for a similar event in the past. And just having this like uninterrupted time with yourself is almost like a date with yourself.
Yeah.
Because we never usually do that. Or like when we do have it, we squander it away with like doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling. I love that you call it that, And I think it is quite therapeutic actually to do that. We always say, self-care, self-love is very important. Now, doing this actually is self-care and self-love because I sometimes find myself struggling with silence. We're so used to noise. And then I'm so used to listening to music all the time. I'm always plugged in. I'm always listening to an opinion about something else. So my mind is constantly moving. So when I hit my bed at night, I can't just sit still. I will still have an iPad on my side playing something because I don't know how to live without a device running.
Actually, on that, like I have this sleep app that I'm tracking, trying to like be better at sleep, right? And it tracks like ambient noise, and in Amsterdam it's always like low. But when I came to Singapore, I checked in the morning and it's actually on the other side of the spectrum. It says high ambient noise. And that was like, dang, like you really feel like the difference in, I don't know if it's like the areas that I'm living at, but like I was like, that, like it feels more like you said, right? It's like very hustle and bustle every day.
And we're so conditioned to it that we think it's normal.
Yeah.
And then that's why Singaporeans always say when you go to the countryside somewhere or you drive into Malaysia somewhere and it's quiet, right?
Yeah.
It's really pin drop silence.
The sound, right?
Yeah. So I think we could really benefit from this. Once again, screen-free Saturday. Jilian, you have a question because I know you're going to go for this one.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and, apart from screen-free Saturday, moving beyond that, like how do you personally maintain like a healthy relationship with your phone or with technology apart from moving out from Singapore?
Good point, right? Because we go for this one, okay, the detox is great, but then, just like any diet, for example, you got to change your lifestyle, right?
I think it's not about cutting it out of your life completely. With like your diet, it's all about maintaining that healthy balance. And I think sometimes we don't leverage the inbuilt functionalities, for example, the time limits that we have in the apps on our phones. Yeah, so I think even personally for me, like whatever social media I have, you put like an X number of hours that you want to be on the app. And then after that, once you hit that limit, you get a notification. And then it's up to you to decide to like stop or not. Alternatively, there are some applications that allow you to block the entire app.
Yeah.
So you can't even like go in until the next day.
It'll say, stop it.
Yeah.
You said you won't use this app anymore.
Yeah.
You said you'll put your phone down, right?
What are you doing now?
I promise to share because I know some of you have been asking, so how do y'all know each other? So we actually met in a totally different context. I'm going to share a quick story. Jillian, you ready for this?
I am.
We met in a club.
The club.
You remember a club?
In the club.
And I don't usually club. You know this about me. I've not gone to the clubs in ages. But my friends are like, hey Josh, let's just have have a good night. So I went to this club and I was not really having fun. And I was just looking around the room like, who do I talk to? Who do I talk to? And then from the corner of my eye, Tiffany, she's just looking at me and smiling.
And to be fair, I wasn't supposed to be there that night also. I was there to like pick up a friend. But then they were like, oh, we're still inside. Like, could you just like come in for a bit? And I was like, okay, fine. I went in.
She was smiling at me, and then it was like a honest smile. You know, some people when you smile, you can tell they want something, you know? But then Tiffany's smile was just, I'm just happy to see you. You seem like a nice human being. So I went over, I said hi to her, and we just instantly connected. And I said, hey, you should meet my friends. I should meet your friends. We should all hang out. And we started having these little dinners together, prata nights together, movie nights together. So I genuinely made a friend that night at the club.
I have a question for Tiffany. Were you actually smiling at Josh, or were you smiling at the person behind him?
Hey, stop it, stop
no,
it.
It's like Josh is really tall, right? So I think we were there. I was hanging out with my group of friends, and then like everyone was just like really busy talking to each other, and I was getting like really bored. I was just sitting there, just looking around, just minding my own business. And then you were walking, and it was like super crowded, right?
Yeah.
I think your head was like above everybody else. So it was just like as my eyes like was glancing past, and I was like, oh, okay, we make eye contact. I was like, yeah, you look like I think like you just look really friendly, and then
and like on another level to it, right? I think going to the club sometimes there's that pressure of you need to meet someone and fall in love and all that. So like when I saw Tiffany and I saw that honest smile, I felt like okay, all that stress is away. I can just make a friend, and I'm just so happy of like the friendship that we've built. And please take care. Okay, you're going back to Amsterdam. You're currently living there.
Yeah, I'm based there now for the foreseeable future, but I'll be back every year.
Yeah, because the government is listening and you need to say you love Singapore. Singapore is your homeland. It's where you belong, okay?